Well, hello everybody. So here it is, Sunday, 6th of October, and I started my day by sleeping in, which is unlike me. I woke up, made coffee, started looking at the news on the phone here. Um, Network television's hard to come by. Where I live, satellite service is not exactly optimum, but looking at different news outlets online and off and on social media, I guess, to a point online, and flipped over to Fox News, and I run across an article reporting on Hillary Clinton making a comment about how strongly we needed to, or how strongly she felt that we needed to have our government repeal Section 230 of the Communications Act. If you're not aware, Section 230 of the Communications Act is what it makes the social media companies immune to prosecution for whatever is posted on their platform. It allows people to speak their mind, to speak their opinion, however they may or may not see fit, without Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whoever being liable for what their patrons post. And she is highly concerned about disinformation and misinformation, especially here prior to this critical election. And the way she put it was, we need to make sure that this Section 230 is repealed to protect our children. So once again, we're going to use our kids, our babies, our grandkids as a load of cannon fodder. They're not worried about the kids, trust me. If they were worried about children or worried about minors as a whole, people wouldn't have ducked under rocks when Epstein made the big show on the screen there. They don't really give two hoots about minors. If they did, the Democrats wouldn't be pushing for all these abortion rights. If they honestly cared about the welfare of babies, that would be the last thing on their list. So, yeah, try to sell that one again. I held my stomach and read through that article just to see how mind-blowingly corrupt and open anybody was willing to be on their reporting on her take. And I jumped over on YouTube later and ran across a video that a young man put up, and he was showing a clip of none other than John Kerry. Funny how everybody's coming out and showing the brain trust of the Democratic Socialist Party. John Kerry, former Secretary of State, Mr. Climate Change, was sitting on the stage of the World Economic Forum, upchucking verbal vomit, and made the comment that the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution was a major roadblock in their ability to have the freedom to govern, or the right to govern freely, and fight the disinformation and the misinformation war, because this election in November coming up is so critical to the welfare and the survival of democracy that we just can't. The biggest roadblock, he said, was the First Amendment of the Constitution. Well, that ain't your only roadblock. It's one of them, maybe in your mind. It's never been a roadblock before. Of course, there's other amendments there as well, the second, the third, and the fourth, and so on. But if you ever take time, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't get taught this in school much anymore, and if they do, they just lightly skim over it. And one and done, out of the way quick, let's go worry about something else important, you know. I talk to older people, and they tell me how, quote, This isn't the country I grew up in. This is not the America that I grew up in. It's changed so much since I was 10 or 5 or 18 years old, depending on how old they are. It just baffles them that it's changed so much, and people, the citizenry of this country has allowed it to progress to the point, or degress to the point, that it's at now. And a lot of the younger people don't really understand where they're coming from. We have too many things that take up our attention and our time, so we don't see what's going on in the world around us. A lot of people have made the comment, well, you can't believe that just because they said it. You can't believe that because you've seen it on the internet or because they told it on the news. That's just a conspiracy theory. Well, they say it's a conspiracy theory, whatever the case may be that you're talking about, whatever the subject matter may be, because they don't want anyone else to believe it, so they brand you as being a conspiracy theorist. And I don't buy off on a lot of them, but I do pay attention to history, and I do pay attention to current events, and I do pay attention to the world around me, to the point that I have come to realize, especially through the pandemic, and well, years prior to the pandemic, and going into the pandemic, probably since the 90s, that everything that's branded as a conspiracy theory, more often than not, becomes fact. So, in my mind, the only difference between a conspiracy theory that some may label misinformation in the political realm, I'm not talking about flying saucers, UFOs, Roswell, and crap like that. Is Elvis working at Burger King? All that crap I could care less about. It's the political conspiracy theories, like the Russian disinformation and the election meddling and the all Hunter's laptop's a lie, it ain't real. Well, when you get right down to it, the only difference between a conspiracy theory and a fact appears to be the date on your calendar. 4 years ago, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, you don't know what you're talking about. Oops, FBI came out and admitted X, Y, and Z. Imagine that. Yeah, it's the date, people. The date on your calendar is the deciding factor between a conspiracy theory and the cold, hard truth. I've been paying attention to some of the goings on in North Carolina by way of private videos taken and private interviews being done on cell phones and camera, where the mainstream media is not reporting on it, and there's a reason for that too. People are saying it's a lot worse than anybody could ever imagine, and after what I've witnessed, I would say they're right. I'm sure that'll come out as conspiracy theory too, after all those people have loved ones recovered and they haven't survived that nightmare. And I'm sure the government, after showing up and promising everybody their whopping $750, will probably be more than happy to step in after the fact and buy up that land if they can, or take it by eminent domain for the welfare of the greater good in their mind, so that they can access all those quartz silica mines again, like in Mitchell County, the 6 up there. Oh no, we don't have a big demand for sand, me and you, or quartz silica or anything else like that, but I'm sure the big tech companies do for their electronics. And one hand washes the other, I guess, whether you're government or tech, or wanting to sell it to the Chinese for their electronics, or whatever the case may be. If we don't pull this election off next month, I think we're going to take a real hard downturn as a nation, more so than we already have, and it's already a lot worse than a lot of people are willing to admit. I talked to some of my family members, and they tell me it's too far gone to save it, that we're going to end up falling like the Roman Empire did, because we've become so self-centered and worldly, living for the world and ourselves, and not having any love or admiration or care for our fellow man. we reached a point of no return on that, some say. I would hope and pray that we have not, that there's still enough of us out there that feel the way that we should. This country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. It was founded on the fact that we were one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Y'all remember saying that in school? I don't think they do that anymore, do they? What's the reason for that? You don't want anybody believing it, I guess. Poor old Hillary, I don't know where her and Kerry and their ilk hide their gill covers and flippers when they're out in the world in front of the camera and crawl out of the swamp and dry off and do interviews. I don't really care where they hide it. I guess evil can hide wherever it needs to, because the Bible referred to the devil as Satan. Lucifer is the great deceiver, so I guess if they can deceive people into believing that they're righteous and upstanding and looking out for the welfare of the country, then deception is running amok. It's the ones that try to speak truth and try to be factual and forthcoming, and improve things. Throttling free speech is not helping anything but the ones that want control. Throttling Second Amendment rights is nothing to do. I was like, oh, well, Second Amendment, it's about having guns to hunt. No, it's not about having guns to hunt. Go read it, people. You can hunt with a stick. You can hunt with a bow and arrow. You can hunt with a rock if you had to. You can hunt with a snare. You can hunt with a club. People done it for eons. You don't have to have a well-regulated militia to bring rabbits home for the pot.